Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Collins, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Action. I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our expert webinar. Today's topic is focused on improving project visibility with unified business intelligence and FP&A for Deltek Vantagepoint. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a link will be sent out following the session as a reference for you. Please feel free to share the link with colleagues who may be interested in learning about today's topic. Everyone is muted, but we encourage you to enter any questions you may have in the chat or Q&A feature, and we will be monitoring those throughout the presentation. We have two presenters today, Lauren Sullivan, Market Lead at Phocas, and Melissa Pazinski, a Practice Manager of our AES division here at Action. That's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Lauren and Melissa, and Lauren is going to kick it off.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and afternoon, depending on where you're sitting. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to kind of show you what Action and Phocas have created to be a all-encompassing solution for the Deltek customers in that space. So first and foremost, I wanted to ask a quick question and poll the audience as well. Who all will be going to ProjectCon next week in lovely Denver, Colorado? So they're going to go ahead and put a little poll question up. If you just click yes or no, just so we can know. If you are going on Tuesday, November 11th at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, there's going to be a live demo in the booth, in the Actions booth, kiosk number 9. It's right there, right when you walk in. And then we are going to go ahead and have a session as well on Action and Phocas Analytics, the next level reporting, similar to what we're talking about now, but a little bit more in depth. That will be on Wednesday at 4:20 p.m. Mountain Time as well. So it looks like most of you are not going to be attending ProjectCon, so that's no problem. We'd love to meet with you as well if you want to go ahead and continue the conversations, but just wanted to see who else was going to be out there. Okay, hold on one second. So one thing that we're seeing a lot within the AES division for Deltek Vantagepoint is being able to keep up with that project and financial visibility that you have for your entire organization, whether it be on your labor, on your project financials, your utilization, et cetera. But looking at the costs and your rising costs for the projects, a lot of manual reporting, maybe dumping into data into Excel or doing a lot of manipulation with it. Oops, and then also having the outdated forecasts and limited visibility into if you do get those next projects or contracts, what is that going to look like from a utilization or a planning perspective? And then also limited visibility across the projects in one view. You might have different views all set up within your ERP, but you're not being able to see your entire organization or business or projects from a 365-degree view. So what does that do? What's that impact of that limited visibility? Number one, it could be slow to take action because a lot of that's a manual reporting process where you're dumping everything into that Excel spreadsheet or templates and kind of looking there. Being able to consolidate that realistically and not have to go through every single line item to make sure everything's tying out properly. And missing maybe key insights. Maybe there are some areas where there are overages or like underperformers and want to make sure that you have that too. And a lot of really manual, complex reporting, but you're not alone. There's only so many hours in a day. You know how time consuming it is to go ahead and create a lot of those reports. But while in your different roles, you know, being able to look at those positions, at those forecasts, that little specific areas, and really have some insight into it as well. Go ahead. So what Phocas does and kind of what we want to do is we are built for the end user, a tool that really you can go ahead and follow your train of thought, understand what's going on with the business, no matter what your role is, but kind of harnessing all that great Deltek data, no matter what that role is, to be able to ask it questions. So whether you're a project manager, a principal, you know, the shareholder or the CEO, being able to really go ahead and view what's going on with your business. So making it more dynamic versus static, you know, consolidated versus siloed in different views, and make it collaborative too. So you guys are all looking at the same data as well. And then being able to continuously plan for your business. Things are always changing. Projects always go ahead and shift one way or the other, and be able to be really agile and reactive and responsive to that as well. Oh, on that one too, I guess before we go into it, the next polling question too, just for us to understand who we're meeting with as well, is what is your organization, or what's your role at your current organization? Are you a principal, project manager, owner? I'll give you guys a couple seconds or a minute to go ahead and answer that question as well. We're going it there. So if you can go ahead and just type in what your role is over at the organization, you know, what that is, so that we can go ahead and have some visibility. If not, it's okay too. We're going to go ahead and do the presentation for everybody. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and keep on going then. Deltek Vantagepoint, I'm going to have this Melissa kind of talk a little bit more about what it is and how we merge it all together.
Perfect. And one of the first things we get asked a lot of times is, how do I unify my data? And that is one of the beautiful things about Phocas, because you have your firms hub, and you have your projects hub, and you have your contracts there, and you have planning and employees. And people get tired of trying to bring everything together in the multiple hours, like Lauren talked about, of dump this into Excel, but dump this into Excel, and dump this into Excel, and trying to write the right formulas to get across. So unified data, pulling all that together makes a huge component. But then taking that data and building out dashboards that are relevant to all those pieces together. We'll look at that some today, as well as you'll see here, which is mentioned budgeting. I know that although Vantagepoint has budgeting, it doesn't have the level of budgeting that you will take a moment and look at today. You'll see a whole new world. It's pretty exciting. And some AI assisted reporting. So within Phocas, you can ask it questions and it will give you additional information. So the snippet you're seeing here is what you're going to see a little bit of what we call databases within Phocas. A database is simply a collection of data. And when we roll Phocas out, we combine collections of data together, such as AR or contracts or labor planning, things like that. And so we have a set group of databases, collections of data out of Deltek that are rolled together, ready to use, and then we can start running them through, and we roll it out with some dashboards and pieces ready to go for you.
So again, the other side too is that we can bring in all that data too. If we have your Vantagepoint data, but as you guys grow too, we can bring in other sources of data in one view as well. So also, who is Phocas? How do we work with that Deltek data? What can we do? I'll start on this one and then pass it over to Melissa too. But again, actually, Melissa, you want to start talking about the ERP and the data sources as well that you've seen, because you work with so many different Deltek Vantagepoint customers. Well, let's talk a little bit about that data.
Well, and that's the biggest thing. We see it connecting both with Vision and Vantagepoint, and it's actually been exciting seeing it connect with Vision, because it gives you an opportunity to start seeing what Phocas can do, build out budgets, build out things that you're going to want in place as you roll into this next year with Vantagepoint. And it's been fantastic for those firms getting reports in 2 seconds versus sometimes certain reports, as any of you know, using Deltek, they're fantastic, but they may take you 2 hours to run. So getting a report in seconds out of your ERP. There are other integrations you'll see where we can connect to pretty much anything that has an API. The other side you'll see is that we can also connect to flat files, such as an Excel file. You may have data in an Excel file that is relevant to your ERP. It's not stored in there, such as you have regions that you group things by. It's not part of your org structure, but you want to group by it. We can pull that data source in and also use it relevant to all the data we're bringing in.
And I think that's also what I'm going to show on this slide too, is that for our Deltek Vantagepoint and Vision customers, there's 3 core areas that we're helping at. So it's an all-in-one data planning tool where you have your operational and business analytics. You have a financial reporting tool that you can go ahead and use in there as well. And then we have the budgeting and forecasting tool to kind of tie it all together. We have a question though, Melissa, does it tie into Deltek? Is it a Jira? Amy, did you see that one?
Actually, I don't see them, so I'm not sure why.
It's a question that somebody just asked.
Right. So Jira does have an API. We do have people on staff who know how to pull things out of Jira. I have not yet personally done it.
So from that perspective too, for Phocas, we are data agnostic. Deltek and Action is one of our strategic partners, but we can pull in data, whether it be API, ODBC, SQL queries, or flat files. In terms of Jira, we just have to scope it out and understand what it is that you want to pull in and how you want it to merge with your current data. But definitely have multiple customers who have all sorts of different tools, let alone multiple ERPs from one particular, or multiple versions or tools from one ERP as well.
And we have a huge load of experience with Deltek Azure tables as well. So,
Okay, cool. Let's go
all
ahead.
right.
So now the exciting part where I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and have Melissa share, because we can go ahead and do so many different PowerPoint presentations that I'm sure you guys all absolutely love. But instead of that, the really cool thing about Phocas is it's something that's really easy to use. It's meant for the end user. We understand your business, Melissa, more so than me, of course, but being able to kind of show you what that might look and feel like for you guys in the future state as well. So I'll go ahead and stop my sharing and leave it to Melissa to add on.
All right. Share. Give me just a moment. I want to make sure that I share the right
do a little
screen so
different
you guys
things
don't
as
have to
well.
look at, something that you don't want to see. So
We warned you about that, Melissa. You're supposed to have that closed.
problem is when I close it, then I can't find it again. There we go. Let me, I'd like to share the whole screen. That's why. There we go. All right. So what you're going to see when you come into Phocas, we're talking about analytics, financial statements, budget and forecast. This is the home screen that people come into, and like with analytics, you start seeing any databases, as we've referenced, are built out for you. Financial statements will go into a moment, and budget and forecast will give it briefly. Home screen is going to let you see, oh, there's dashboards and your favorites, things that you normally build out. So let's take a look at a project manager dashboard.
And so just to go ahead and clarify too, we've partnered with Action. We do have a starting standpoint. So a lot of tools out there will go ahead and give you an empty box and expect you to go ahead and fill it all up. Phocas and Action have created a series of dashboards, which you'll see favorites, which are a version of canned reports, but they're not canned because you keep on asking questions. For multiple dashboards, multiple favorites to go ahead and get you as a starting point, just so that you're not having to start from scratch. So that's what she's showing you as well.
And one of the beautiful things with Phocas is that I can build a dashboard out of all of my databases. I don't have to build it out of just projects or just firms. I can build it out of a collection of data, and I can build from multiple places. What you see here is to give you some examples of the types of widgets and things you'll see, such as, project status or charge type, revenue method. What's beautiful about Phocas is that I can choose, oh, I like the active, and I can click Phocas, and suddenly my whole dashboard is going to reload for everything active. I can keep going. I only want, charge type of regular, and I can hit Phocas again. And you'll see up here, I keep getting to drill down further and further. But what if I want to go back and have regular, but I'm not worried about active? I can just choose the X. I can take out a piece of that search. Game changer for being able to search through things quickly. The other thing you'll see is revenue method here is one of the widget types. And I want to show this because this is something we just can't do in the Deltek world, and it helps us greatly here. I've got this chart, but I may want it to do it. Maybe I want it in a pie chart instead. So I want it in pie chart. Oh, but maybe I want it in a donut. Oh, I like that better. I'm able to see immediately what my chart will look like, ready to go, and hit save, and that widget's done. Rather than create it, tell it what I think I'm going to want to see, and wait until I've published it to see what it looks like. Having that flexibility makes a huge difference.
And you guys all know your audience is best, and you know how the different business units or divisions or companies are going to go ahead and respond to it. So really making it the way that's going to work for you, not necessarily the way that it has to be from us.
Right. So these are examples of a way to do it. These are also some of the reports that you can easily do. And I can go down here and I can say, I've got projects here, I've got phases here, task, I've got project managers, and I can say, oh, for Brian Sullivan, I want to focus on him. Well, now everything in this dashboard up through here is related to him. It makes it very smooth. Even the project stats, my reimbursable expenses, these things are all focused on him. reset that for a moment and let you see it changes back. Here's my utilizations running. These again are examples of ways you can have a gauge, you can have line charts, you can have all sorts of methods. When I get down here, oh, I've got AR, but you can tell this is a little bit crazy trying to read all this. Maybe I only want my top 10. I can just do it right here. Let me limit my rows. I just want my top 10. Now I have my top 10. I can save it and it's still there. So it's quick to dial into the data I want and have that ready for everybody. I can also have sad face and happy faces. Some people like those, some people do not. One of the big components we've brought in is planning. So we started bringing in planning data. I can look and see, here's my financials. Here's my current year, estimated at complete, estimated to complete, and my project estimated complete. So you can see how this data all pulls together. One of the other things we also added was forecasting by resource. So I have my people here. I have their total hours planned for the future. And then I start saying, well, how many hours are each month? Oh, but I also want to know which project that is. This lets me see which project it is right there, all at one shot.
And we had a question that we can go ahead and sort it by month. Of course, you can go ahead and create any of your custom the periods as well, but even on the top right, you can go ahead and change the entire dashboard just up for that month or for that year. Each widget could be different as well. You can have a monthly planning widget, or you can have an annual planning widget. Widget, or just each one of those little boxes. So yep.
So this is running through here for right now. Now, if I'm trying to say, okay, well, where did this data come from? What was the details that came in here? I'm going to use this little button. It's going to let me go analyze it. This is where I really start getting to get into information. So now I have all the people, and I have it by employee, but maybe I want to see under each employee. Right now I have it sorted by project under employee. So my level is the employee, and then the information is project, but maybe I want to see it by which company. So now I'm looking at, well, in this company, she has that, and in this company, he has that. I'm able to treat this like the ultimate pivot table and run through it quickly and easily. So in the vein of planning data, because it seems to be really a hard place to get good reporting and good flexibility, we actually built out a planning dashboard that's coming from it. Now, I know that nobody on this call has issues with people being consistent with numbering, phases, and tasks. Here's a reason you can prove why they shouldn't have, inconsistencies. So,
Melissa, you have a question. Can you forecast by organizational structure project with a variance between fee remaining versus planned resources?
yes. Because what we're bringing into Phocas is the planned resources by month by resource. So we're bringing the transactional level detail into on a month by month transaction of this person has this many hours, this person has this many hours, this person has this many hours, all the way forward. We forecast typically 12 months, and then anything past 12 months is dumped in that last bucket. We do, however, some firms want it, to go a little further, and we can do that. We just typically don't see firms go past the 12 months because it's hard to be realistic past that, 1 year date. We took, however, planning data and said that, well, if we have planning data and we have start and end dates, let's look at it from a whole new direction. So now I'm looking at phase review you're seeing here. What this is telling me is that in November, I have 4 projects starting construction documents. I have 2 projects that go into bidding, and I have 2 projects going into construction administration. So I start seeing what phase of the project, based on the start and end dates of the plan, am I going into, and how many of those are hitting. This is huge when I start saying, if I have a large load of construction admin, it's going to hit me. And if you're going to have to be on site reviewing projects, do you have the staff to even do that? So it's bigger than just skill set. It's also what stage of the project. So being able to do it like that makes a big difference. Now I can also see, phases by client. So this is by looking at construction documents, but then I can also say, I have 14 construction documents starting in the next 12 months. Here's the clients they're starting with. So you can see now I've got it flipped a completely different way. And that's what we were talking about is the ultimate pivot table, flipping it around any way I want to do it. But then I might look at, okay, I want to see construction documents. Maybe I want it in a chart. This is back to that start date looking, and I don't have anything kicking off in August. Oh, it begins to mean. You can flip it also like phase end date instead of start date. So, and then we get down to our ETC values where I have my total ETC. I have my project ETC running month by month by month, forecasted out. And then again, we're back to that. This is just a copy of that by person. And then we start looking at, what are my ETC hours and billing for each month. Very, very powerful being able to pull things in together. I'm going to move this. Now, focus.
I think the other thing too, this is so great to see the actual Deltek Vantagepoint data in action too, but to be able to see different parts of all your organization in different ways, all in one place, instead of having to go from hub to hub to hub. I thought pretty in the spreadsheet.
It makes it very nice. Makes it very, very nice. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go look at financial statements. So we saw it in the menus, there was financial statements, and you can build as many financial statements you want. Your P&Ls, as what, profit and loss statements, trial balance statements, you can build all of these. So we're going to go look at this one. These are whatever you want to build. You can build anything you want as a group down here and add KPIs. But I'm looking at it right now. I've got project revenue and I open it up and I see these are the accounts. But maybe I want to see by company and then by account. I have a couple ways to do that. I can company, drag it up here in between. So now when I open project revenue, I see a company and then I see the accounts. And as I go,
and a lot of customers these days, Melissa, typically out of Vantagepoint, you have to do this, you dump everything into Excel and the templates and make sure you massage it and it's correct. Is that how you see a lot
there's some of that? You can't pull KPIs. You can do a grouping of things, but I will show you guys what you cannot do, which I love. I don't love that I can't do it over there. I love it here. So right now I'm just doing it by periods. I've got the actual period, the previous period, and I'm also bringing in the budget that was built within here. And I'm being able to compare with the budget with my previous. So I can see exactly where I'm at. Now, I may want to instead look at companies. So now my columns are going to reload. And I can just select which companies I want. So I want these 3 companies, and I'm going to click OK. So now I have total, my financial statement with my KPIs. But then you'll see as I scroll across, here's for a single company. I continue to scroll across. There's the next company, and there's the next company. Being able to put this information side by side by side, game changer. I can group it by company. I can group it by principal, supervisor, office, however your org structure is. I can group it by any of those items and have it give me side-by-side comparisons. Now, I have 500 projects in here, which is why I'm not throwing projects up there because I don't want to put 500 columns across. But you can easily see that it would be able to do any of those things. Perhaps you want to look at your P&L by principal, depending on how your firm is structured and what you expect of them. When we build budgets, so we looked at the fact that we have analytics, financial statements, and now we're going to go into budgets. And we're going to do a brief look at budgets. And I say that because budgets are very, very powerful and very, very full of the data you want to see. So this is a sample budget that we put in here to kind of give you an idea where I have the profit and loss statement is how it's being sorted. And I have it by the company and then level 1 and 2 and then the account. So I have project revenue, then I have my company, and then I have my office, and then I have account. And what you're seeing here is this is my 2025 budget. I'm able to start taking and saying, here's my trend lines. And within this budget, I have a whole new set of functionality where I can take and compare my budget to my actuals. I can compare my budget to my forecast.
You have a question, Melissa?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do a P&L graphically for a rolling 13 months? Also, what about a back trend by months?
So the back trend, I may not understand the question on that one.
I don't know the back trend by month, but we have the rolling 13. We can go ahead and customize the times, the backlog. Sorry, she clarified backlog. Can you do it? What about a backlog trend by months?
Mm-hmm. We just need to determine how they're tracking backlog. So are you using it from, future planning and then you start looking at that? Are you using weighted forecasts, weighted revenue and forecasting that out, which we do that as well. So it depends on the definition of backlog. Or is it simply contract minus job to date and this is your backlog amount? So.
And again, kind of the flexibility of Phocas is like you don't have to fit into our box. We want to take that Deltek Vantagepoint data and make it really flexible for you guys to go ahead and run your businesses. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. So I will say in the financial statements, you'll see right now our period is a rolling 12 months. So that's why it's going through November, but you can change your periods at any time. And then you can reverse them if you need to. So, and then I ask for, my current period, my previous period, and what's the comparison period. So lots and lots and lots and lots of flexibility. But like Lauren said, it comes with a lot of it already built out. You already have some prepackaged databases, prepackaged data. We know where the data is in Deltek. We connect straight to it. It's feeding, and that way you have the ability to start right away with your data. Perfect.
Someone also said that person, the contract is the JTD revenue.
Yep.
Job to date, sorry.
Yep.
So that's what they do. And you have experience doing that with some other customers, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's what I see a lot do. Just sometimes some people do have a special definition. And so I never want to assume, but
you know what they say about
minus job to date, because we're bringing in all the contract values and we're also bringing in all the job to date values. And it's simply a matter of taking a moment and saying, I want this minus this.
And I guess on that too, before, this is just some stats that we have about things that we see is for increase in sales in terms of your margins and maybe your labor optimization. Typically we see about 40% after the first year, 300 obviously percent in terms of the increased reporting speed. It's really fast. And I know that we're doing a demo environment, but this is Deltek Vantagepoint data. So that is a speed that you can consider the performance to be for your own as well. 70% decrease in reporting to request to IT, putting it in your hands to be able to run your business without having to go back and forth with IT for every single report. Obviously, reduction in administration costs. We do a lot within inventory, so don't think about that one too. I guess, Melissa, putting it back on you, you've been working with Phocas and Deltek Vantagepoint for a long time, Phocas for the last 3 years. What are some of the comments that you've heard other customers say that are up and running using Phocas?
Being able to run a report in 2 seconds, a financial report, you build it, you say, I want these columns, I want these columns, and you save it as a favorite, and I can go in and hit it and run, and it's there immediately. And then I can drill down so fast. That's probably one of the biggest ones. The second one is being able to have multiple P&L statements that, or trial balance statement, however you want to do it, and be able to have those income statements ready to go, drop of a hat. I can throw that entire statement on a dashboard so people can see it real time. So I can have a dashboard that's strictly for executives where they're able to see exactly what's going on in the business immediately. And then in budgets, just the fact that you can do a budget all the way down to head count, you can do a 445, you can throw in, I can take last year's budget, or I can take last year's actual and say, increase everything by 5% and give me a new budget. And here's my new budget, and then I can use it to forecast and realign it throughout the year. Those are just tools that make it valuable.
And at the same token too, we start with, just for everybody on the call too, we do start with an overnight refresh. So we're refreshing all of those financials and all of those dashboards and analytics starting off on an overnight basis. If you need them more frequently, we can work together and get that. Since it is API driven, we can increase that frequency. But again, it's not you just looking at a monthly look back, but you can actually be keeping your pulse on the financials on a daily basis as well. So last question.
I was just gonna say, there's a couple things that, the API, Deltek API does have some limitations sometimes. So we've actually developed the workarounds, if you will, in order to still feed with an API, your planning data, your unposted labor. You even get all, your labor stats. I can go and look at any time how much labor's been written off, and which company, and which project manager, and which projects had labor written off. And I can see that within about 2 seconds. So
that's fantastic. So last polling question, and you can put it in for whether it's your analytics piece or if it's going to be your financial reporting or your budgeting and forecasting. And I guess put it just in the chat in terms of free form. But we have this too. We have, what are you currently using to go ahead for your reporting needs? Is it Excel, Power BI, Tableau, or other? Or if you want to, you can always throw that in the chat too, if you want to talk about what you're using for BNF or anything else too. I'm seeing lots of Power BI and Excel, mostly Excel. A lot of Excel is what we're seeing too. And that's what everybody uses. But, as we all know, it is prone to errors. I break dozens of spreadsheets a month because I mess up formatting of formulas. It doesn't have an audit trail a lot of times for you to really kind of see what's going on. And you have to scrub through that data each time you do it. But regardless of it, this is how we currently stack rank against some of the ones that we see out there in terms of ease of use, the product integration and everything else too. But again, really working with Melissa and her team over Action and that Deltek practice to make sure that we're bringing best in class, not just from an analytics tool, but for financial reporting and budgeting and forecasting to make sure that that Deltek Vantagepoint data is really harnessed and usable in the best way possible. So to kind of follow up, thank you everybody for attending. Melissa and Amy, thank you so much for partnering with us on all of this. It is a QR code, so if you want to go ahead and set up some time to meet and kind of dive deeper into that, ask those questions as well. And obviously you guys are going to be at ProjectCon. Hopefully we'll see you there next year, but we will be there next week. And really appreciate you guys coming and seeing what we have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Melissa and Lauren, for a great presentation. If anyone has any questions, please do reach out to one of us. You can also reach us at info@action.com. Thanks again for joining us today and have a great afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Hey guys. Thank you.